In the studio with us today, we have a special guest to join us about an upcoming event that I think is rather good for the community, not just to showcase off the influence from the United States Marines, but also to a bit of a send-off for those who have been here for a while, and that is Captain Tommy deVries of the Marine Rotational Force. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Kalem.
So yes, we've got you in the studio today to discuss an event that's coming up this Friday that I'm actually excited to skip work to go to myself.
Yeah, it's essentially a closing ceremony for this year's rotation of the Marine Rotational Force Darwin, as well as a day for the community to acknowledge the support that we've gotten from the Northern Territory community while we've been out here for our rotation, for previous year's rotations, and to acknowledge the support that we hope can continue for the next 10-15 years of MRFD per the agreement that was established between our two countries.
So what is the main use of having the Marines in Darwin?
About 10 years ago, the Prime Minister and President Obama established the Marine Rotational Force Darwin as a rotational force that would come in and out of the Northern Territory to strengthen the relationship that the US and Australia have with one another, to increase interoperability between our militaries, to respond to crises and contingencies in the region, to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific. And ultimately, that rotation has built in strength every year up until this point. We have capped at about 2,500 Marines and sailors in 2019. That was limited last year due to COVID, and it was slightly limited this year also due to COVID, but we were able to exceed 2,000 troops in the Northern Territory, and we hope to get back to that 2,500 goal in future rotations.
Excellent. Let me ask you quickly before we continue on to about the event itself. You are a strategic communications officer, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So what does that actually mean? What does that entail?
So the official specialty name is Communication Strategy and Operations.
Okay.
It is a combination of a few specialties that the Marine Corps has had, which is combat camera, which was photography, videography, graphics, and public affairs, which was advising leadership on how to communicate effectively. It was journalism. So we combine all that stuff into the communication strategy specialty, and my job is to synchronize communication efforts from the MRFD. We do it especially here with the ADF communications public affairs officers that they have. And we make sure that we are effectively communicate what we do. We're telling our story. We're integrating with the community, because support from the community and the fact that we have such immense support from the community in not just the top end, but Australia writ large is amazing for this rotation, and we want to encourage that, and we want the community to feel like they can understand what it is that we're doing here, and they can be a part of this rotation with us, because we are a part of the Northern Territory.
And I think the community's welcomed the Marine Rotational Force with open arms. It's very easy to spot them as well. They've got giant square shoulders and
the haircut.
The haircut, that's a big giveaway as well. Mm-hmm. So yes, the event is actually occurring this Friday, and it's got quite a lot of things for people to witness as well, isn't that right?
Yes, so this Friday, 10th of September, at 3 p.m. we'll be opening the front gates of Robertson Barracks, and you can pretty much just throw that in Google Maps or any sort of map apps. It'll take you right to the front gate of Robertson Barracks. We'll guide people through there. There will be parking set up for them, and then we'll be able to sort of draw people over to where the event is taking place. Mm-hmm. It's the parade field of Robertson Barracks. They will get to see aircraft, they'll get to see trucks, they'll get to see ordnance equipment, they'll get to see Australians and Americans, Marines and sailors and soldiers, demonstrating their equipment, showing folks their kit. And there will be a few things for the kids as well. There's some light refreshments and whatnot. Just a good 2-3 hours of just getting to see what it is we do.
I do like the selection of aircrafts available, all the helicopters as well. The Viper, the Venom, the Tiger armed reconnaissance helicopter, and the Osprey, which of course is the dual rotor, isn't it?
Yes, the tilt rotor aircraft with the 2 props, yeah.
So that's quite an exciting thing to see. And another thing that I know a lot of people out there will be very curious about, we had a little conversation about this before, so you don't know all the specifications, but they're also showcasing a robotic dog.
Yeah. The ADF are bringing that capability. It is sort of in development as far as what they will be using it for. But it's pretty interesting to watch. It's a little box with four dog-looking legs, and it walks around. You can control it basically on a smartphone.
Wow.
And it's super easy to actually drive around.
So when is the next rotation going to occur for the Marines to come in?
So similar timeline as previous rotations. Around the March-April timeframe, you'll start to see the 2022 rotation come in. That is subject to essentially how COVID works out, and amongst other things. But the rotation is slated to continue for the next 15 years of the 25-year agreement, and you should see them coming in spring for us, but March-April timeframe of next year.
Now, I believe there is a lot of social media areas that people can access to organize themselves for the event itself.
Yes, we have. So Marine Rotational Force Darwin has a Facebook, a Twitter, an Instagram. We're posting content pretty much every day up until Friday, which is advertising the event, showing people some of the equipment that they'll get to see, the pictures of that. Those things. So if they're excited to see what they're going to observe on Friday, they can go to those pages. And then on those social media pages is the link to our Eventbrite, which is essentially an RSVP. So if they go to that Eventbrite and they just click how many folks they're going to be bringing, that helps us with understanding how many folks are going to come and how much support we need to prepare for the event.
Excellent. And what will you be doing on the day?
So on the day, I will be
piloting the helicopters, yes?
I wish. I would love to fly a helicopter. I am nowhere near as trained for that. But I'll be there to guide the equipment into place. We've done a few community events around the Northern Territory before. Nolan Boy had a great community day. We were able to bring in an osprey at the conclusion of an exercise that we did out there. And it was a great time. Hundreds of people showed up. They loved it. They were able to get firsthand sight of the osprey and interact with some troops and some of the equipment they had. We had another community day in Timber Creek at the end of Exercise Coolindong, which was great. Pretty much one of everything. And there's about 50, 60 folks who came from the Timber Creek community to come take a look at that. And we're looking to do similar equipment sets for here, but obviously on a bigger scale with the amount of folks that are here in Darwin. So we'll be here. I'll be there setting up with my team, setting up the ceremony, which will be essentially the brigade leadership and the MRFD leadership to thank the community for supporting us throughout this rotation. And there will be obviously some media there to help us tell the story of a successful 10 years of MRFD and look towards the future. So it'll be a very busy day for me. I would highly encourage people to go to our social media, get eyes on the equipment that you're going to see when you're there. Please RSVP at that Eventbrite link so we get a good understanding of how many folks are going to be there. And we are very, very excited to host this event for the community. We cannot thank Darwin and the Northern Territory enough for being great hosts, making us feel very welcome, and we hope to continue that for years future for MRFD.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Calem. Appreciate it.